What's up, Stats fan? What's going on, fellas? How's it going today? Happy Friday.
What's up, squad? Happy Friday.
99,251.
Oh,
We're getting up there.
Good. It's looking great.
It's looking amazing. I think we're at just 1,008 sats per dollar, according to the block clock. This is a big deal. First, I want to thank Mara, the largest public Bitcoin miner, for supporting the show and for helping make the Bitcoin network the largest and most decentralized network in the world. It's pretty awesome. All right, guys, we got a lot to get through today, and I think that's going to be, that's just going to be the way it is for the next year. We have to pick and choose all the stuff that we want to talk about. We've only got about an hour. So first of all, obviously price action. That's where we're all at today. We're all watching for 100K. I was up until midnight last night, just hoping it would happen. Woke up at 6 a.m. It was like, first thing I checked my phone, I was like, okay, I didn't miss it. That was good. Maybe we'll get it here. That would be a lot of fun.
There's something about 100K that's just such a major milestone. I had a tweet the other day. For a long time, I thought unit bias kind of held back Bitcoin. Unit bias is like, people that aren't as educated on markets will be like, oh, this thing's only 1 penny. That means it must go up more. And people that know something about markets know that's irrelevant. And what you really need is market cap. It doesn't matter. Anyways, but I used to think that unit bias held us back. Now that we're about to crack $100,000, I feel the opposite. I think getting over 100K is just so psychologically substantial for so many people. And it sends such a signal to everybody. And I think it really is like, in some ways, it's just another number, right? Like, does it really matter 100K over or not? But in another way, it's such a tremendous vindication of Bitcoin, Bitcoiners, and the people that bet on this thing.
I mean, let's take a quick look, John, and then I'll come right back to you.
Sure.
Speaking of the conviction that it takes to hold for a long period of time, I think all of us here about 7 years in, right? 2017-ish. Okay. Here's from 2013. In fact, this is just 5 days from being 11 years ago. All right. $1,000. So this was published in Wired on November 27th, 2013.
Real quick. For those of you in the chat, we're relying on you guys. If we get 100K, I need you guys to post it in the chat. Like, if we're getting like 99.9, like, I can't see it right now, so keep us live.
99,353.
Okay.
I should pull up
we need like a...
I'll pull up something so that we can screen share if needed. All right, quick, just blast to the past. Here's 20K.
Not even a full week since Thanksgiving, and we're already playing Christmas music. And look, that's what I'm saying anyway. Okay, so that's what we were doing. But I want to show you a Bitcoin at $20,000 and $150 per coin. That's what you got. It's up
record
$3,000 up.
Yeah.
Up 19%.
Yeah,
new record high.
So the previous record was 19,600.
That was an absolutely bonkers week.
I remember.
It went from 10 or 11K to 20K in a matter less than a week, I think.
Somebody tuned in right as you put that up and had like a complete freak out.
Yeah.
Like they just saw like, what do you mean?
Here's 72.
Yeah.
Brady.
The price of Bitcoin, the largest.
Sorry, go ahead, John.
No, just a funny thing about that point in time. I had two buddies who made a bet with each other in 2018 when the price crashed. They made a bet. One of them said Bitcoin's going to be above 20K by the end of 2020. And the other said, no, it's not. So if you guys remember what happened, like you said, it started December of 2020, like at 12K. So my one buddy thought like, I got this in the bag. And then by the end of the month, they crossed 20K. And the other guy was like, you got to be kidding me.
That is crazy. It lines up to be like holiday season. And it gets that like extra boost from the cross-pollination that happens over Thanksgiving break. All right, 72. This is
the price of Bitcoin, the largest cryptocurrency by market cap, surpassed the $72,000 mark to reach another all-time high. According to U.S. crypto exchange Coinbase, the price of one Bitcoin...
No, we don't need to give Coinbase an ad over here.
Respect.
All right. Well, anyway, there's a look.
99.5.
I still see 353. Let me pull this up.
I'm on TradingView. We're at 99.5.
99.5.
All right.
Ooh, we're
Let me
close.
hit up TradingView.
I'm keeping an eye on Bitbo. That's got 99.6 right now.
99.6. Dude,
I just had a feeling it was going to happen during this hour. I don't know.
Do this thing?
Can we take a second on price here, gang? On November 4th, we're talking a couple weeks ago, Bitcoin was trading around 68,000.
Yeah.
Now 99.5, 99.6.
Jesus, man.
But speaking of round numbers, like people do like round numbers. It just gets your brain going. Like, oh shit, there's another number, another handle.
Yep.
The move to 80K woke up some of my friends. Like I got in some group chats. They were like, oh, 80K, literally writing, I missed the trade. I missed the boat. And have I, pinged them again? It's like, hey, Bitcoin's up 20% since you said you missed the boat. Yes, I have absolutely done that.
Good, man. You gotta kind of drive the knife. You gotta twist the knife a little bit. You know what I mean? Like there's a point where it's like not compassionate, right? But there's a point where you need to just squeeze a little bit. 99.6.
This is the 1 minute chart.
All right, we need the 1 minute chart.
All right, I got it pulled up.
Okay.
Ready to rock in case we need it. All right.
I feel like one of you guys has to. I've heard both Steven and Quittem talk about this. This is the golden age of Bitcoin dunks. You guys want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, that's true. Let's jump down to this. Here's the Bitcoin creator. This is from Anil said so, and I think the content itself is from Gladstein. So you've got the salty hater. You heard about Bitcoin years ago but never bought. Now you're salty. The desperate status. You believe money can only be created by the state, so Bitcoin breaks your worldview. The dishonest intellectual. This is maybe my favorite one. You haven't done the work to understand Bitcoin, so you wish it would just go away. And actually, I would say you haven't done the work to understand Bitcoin, but you opine on it confidently anyway. The prisoner of sunk cost. You're invested in an altcoin and feel the need to criticize Bitcoin to defend your life choices. The prisoner of sunk cost is a fancy way to say shitcoiner. All right. What do we got, guys? Tell me about dunking on these guys. This happens during bull markets.
Yeah.
Like, obviously during bear markets too, when things start crashing. But in bull markets, it's our turn to dunk. And these guys don't give up usually.
Bitcoiners have like an encyclopedic memory of haters. We remember all the haters. I literally did a chart. We ranked the Bitcoin haters a couple weeks ago with Nick. But like, we remember them and the community remembers. We have the tweets saved. And so we're entering this era when we cross 100K, it's the golden age of dunks. It's like every stupid, poorly researched, poorly thought out, like self-righteous take that these kind of critics have had on Bitcoin. I mean, they're just going to look so bad, and Bitcoiners are not going to let them forget.
That's the way it goes, Brandon.
Yeah, extending this a little bit. On Twitter, we're wrong, right? We appear wrong on Twitter for like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And we get this glorious opportunity when all the haters start running their mouths, Bitcoin's pumping, and we celebrate by dancing on graves. And you can say this is distasteful, and you'd be right. You can say this is rude, and you'd be right. You could say we shouldn't tell billionaires to have fun staying poor, and you might be right. We need this one, and it's pretty fun. So don't take it too seriously. We need to have a little fun during the bull market.
If you're not gonna do it at 100K, when are you gonna do it?
At 0.1 million Bitcoin.
And hey, if you've got someone who's like actually, Alex Stanzik flagged this guy on LinkedIn who actually was like, hey, I think I was wrong on Bitcoin. I'm trying to understand what this is. Don't dunk too hard on that guy. Like, help him out. But the people like, the Bitcoin haters, Robin Brooks, Peter Zihan, obviously Peter Schiff, Steve Hanke, like these guys deserve to be dunked on. And specifically, some of them have come in with takes of like, this is tulip bubble. Bitcoin only goes up with tech stocks. Bitcoin only goes up when the Fed cuts rates. Like, we should highlight just how wrong these people were. And these are people who've been in investing or economics roles for like multiple decades. Like, they deserve to take some criticism.
Yeah,
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, good point. We should welcome everyone who says, "Hey, I was wrong. I'm into Bitcoin now." We should prop them up and celebrate that.
Yes.
Changing your opinion is impressive. It's legitimately hard to grab this thing. We all went through a challenging intellectual process, and on the other side, feel a little lighter, and that's a good thing.
Saylor was a Bitcoin hater. I mean, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. It's good to do so. What's not good, and I think the people that do deserve the dunking, is people who A, dig their heels in, and B, dig their heels in from first principles that are dishonest and are not really engaging with the arguments.
Yeah, that's the thing that annoys me the most. And they're still out there. They're saying this is just another bubble. I don't understand how you can look at the 4-year moving average chart, which is never turned down at all, ever. And it's just going up and to the right. So if you take out the noise, which is what the 4-year moving average does, if you take out the noise, it's not a bubble. It's just up and to the right, almost. I mean, just an exponential. It looks linear on the exponential chart, obviously, but my God, this is not a bubble. I think a lot of us were in the replies on a Marcus Brownlee tweet. He's a really popular tech YouTuber, really great too. He's really good at what he does, which is interesting, right? Because he's in tech. That's I mean, he's submersed in it all the time, and he doesn't understand Bitcoin. And he said something about no one could ever accuse him of being a pump and dumper. And I'm just like, this is not a pump and dump. How can you think that? Anyway, we did a good job in their
and dumped wallpapers a little bit. So I mean, really, what are we talking about? Like pumping, dumping what?
Yeah, right.
The thing about the problem. Okay, this is the thing. When the haters and the losers, when their predictions are non-falsifiable, that's the problem. If you want to make a falsifiable prediction that we can actually say was wrong or was right in some time frame, that's great. I have no problem with that. But the way that these people do it is they make non-falsifiable claims. They say it's a bubble.
Yep.
And after 8 years and it hasn't collapsed, they're still just saying the same thing. Well, how long? What would need to happen for you to say it's not a bubble? And they'll never give you that because they don't want to be on the record as with a claim that's falsifiable. They just want to be a hater.
It is a bubble. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, I think there is something to unpack about the word bubble that can confuse some people. If you're using it in terms of like tulip bubble, people typically mean like, hey, there's really, no real value there beyond like what a tulip should be, which is like, pennies or something. That's like a true bubble. But we also use the word bubble to describe like the real estate bubble, the .com bubble. But you have to remember about those, like even the people who call that a bubble, they're not claiming that real estate has zero value and no one should ever hold real estate again.
100%.
They're not claiming that the internet bubble meant that the internet was a joke. And so I think if someone's using the word bubble to mean like, hey, the price has gone up too much and it could pull back, like, okay, fine. But you could say that about any asset. If they're using it like tulip bubble and this is going to go to zero forever, then like they deserve to be dunked on.
And they're typically saying it in the latter, right? Like they're typically saying it as this like bubble means this is actually worthless. There's nothing there, despite the fact that most of the bubbles in history were based around transformative technologies that changed human history. Bubbles typically develop on our biggest and best ideas, railroads, tech companies, development, all of these sorts of things. You see bubbles in new, rapidly growing areas. That's what most of them are. The tulip bubble is an anomaly. It's also fake and made up. Historically, it didn't really happen in that way. It is a made-up story by a certain sect of Christians that really hated wealth. And they created this story as a way of criticizing the excesses of money. And I just say that descriptively. But like, it's not even really real. Most bubbles are in ideas that change the world.
It's true. And Bitcoin is a series of cyclic bubbles and crashes. That there's no doubt about that. But if you zoom out far enough, like I said, with the 4-year moving average, it's not a bubble at all. And these things do happen because of human psychology. I mean, one, people see the promise of a new technology, for instance. So let's use the .com bubble as an example. And so they know that there's money to be made here. They know there's value here. No one really knows who's going to win. So it's all bets, funding all kinds of attempts to take advantage of this new technology and become a big company. And, you know, a small percentage of them are going to win and the rest of them are going to die. Right. And so that's where the bubble happens. It just crashes. And the same thing happens with Bitcoin, right? It's psychology. We all want to pile in. You got the FOMO. But most people who are in the space, or at least let's say a large percentage of them during a bubble or a big blow off, do believe in the technology. Enough of them, and then you know, more and more stick around. We've talked about this many times. Just increasing the floor every cycle. So yeah, it's all psychology. It's not a mystery whatsoever. But calling it a bubble that's going to burst, there's no value, it's going to zero, is just completely ridiculous at this point. Utterly ridiculous.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's because there's been such a profound change in the landscape. And I think this is worth talking about. So here's my current view on Bitcoin. I was talking to some people today about this, and it's that when the election happened, it's not just like a Trump presidency, but it's a series of events that have kind of rolled out from that. But post the election, the landscape for Bitcoin changed dramatically, from probabilities on the reserve to the Senate, the very hostile Senate people getting taken out, to the regulatory risk being massively marked down, to compounding those factors with the spot ETFs, compounding those factors with the institutional adoption. And in all of that, you end up in a scenario where things are so good for Bitcoin here that the market cannot price that in a matter of weeks. It will take a matter of months. The change happened instantly, but it will take months for people and investors to truly work through their worldview and their mindset and their strategy of what this means for Bitcoin. And I think we're in this period where you're seeing a repricing of Bitcoin in this way, and it takes time. But we're in a totally different world here. It's best case scenario, to be frank.
Any thoughts, Brandon? I'm leaving space for you because me and Steven just jump in and start talking over people. So
I agree. The world's changed. I had one extra comment for the haters. And I think that most of the long-term haters or the long-term critics, they already made up their mind, right? They have some weird fixation on this thing. They decided Bitcoin's bad. And any amount of intellectual discourse you provide to them flies right over their head, right? They need this psychological safety of Bitcoin is bad, and they just pick the next argument. It doesn't matter. You squash one, they pick another one. And so I think the right approach is to just make fun of these people. They're intellectually and emotionally constipated. Do not give them arguments. Just make fun of them.
Intellectually and emotionally constipated.
That's good.
That's a fantastic turn of phrase that I've not heard in my life.
I just saw that we've got a huge Coinbase premium right now, and that's a good thing. It's when the spot price on Coinbase is much higher than the futures exchanges. And what that means is there's a ton of spot buying that's driving this rather than leverage buying. So you'll love to see it.
Awesome. It's the real deal. What's you guys' like instinct about once we breach the sell wall and get through that big psychological number where this is kind of funny to me. Every 10,000 is like this big psychological number, and trading happens around this, you know, emotional trading. Like, we're going to defend this price and we're going to go aggressively after this price. And there's little battles at these big round numbers. This is the biggest one, in my opinion, that Bitcoin's had, except for maybe $1,000. It's like the next add in a zero, right? Which is why $1 million is the next target for us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Stop all this other stuff. We're going to 1 million. That's the story this year. What's the target? The target's $1 million. End.
Yeah, 1, 10, 100, 1,000. Just like that's it. That's what we celebrate. So next is 1 million, then it's 10 million. We're only 2 orders of magnitude away.
Easy.
Easy.
An easy 1 mil, a clean 1 mil.
Yeah. If we get a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which more developments this week, Lummis was out talking about it. There was a crypto cabinet formed, and there was a sort of reiteration of the commitment to a Bitcoin strategic reserve about from this incoming administration. Polymarket is, I haven't checked it recently, I'm gonna pull it up, but Polymarket I know went from about 30 to 42, I think, as of yesterday.
And an important note on that, the Polymarket market is by April. So
right.
The chance that you get it this year is higher than that.
Right. Okay. I'll look it up in a second, but
chance that you get it by the end of 2025. You're saying,
yeah,
Steve,
higher than the 42%. The reason, because there's another market on Kalshi, and I think it's got it at like 70% because it's the whole year. The thing with the poly market is like you could be bullish on the strategic reserve, but you might be like, I don't know if they get it done in the first 3 months, right? That's a different sort of bet.
Yep. We do have Treasury Secretary market here. Scott Bessent is back up to basically neck and neck with Kevin Warsh. Who do you like better between the two of them, Stephen?
Dude, so let's actually pull this up. Let me see. We are at, yeah, they're neck and neck. I think Warsh is super overpriced. I think it's not super real. Bessent would be incredible. There's some stuff I can't say, but just I have it on very good authority. He is extremely game for the reserve. He's also just very good. And you do want not an idiot managing the treasury, even if you're a Bitcoiner. Like complete financial meltdown in the US is not a bull case for you. So I think he's both qualified for the job, very bullish on Bitcoin. So Bessent, I think, is the top contender. I think he looks good. Haggerty would also be amazing. Warsh, I think, is the candidate you don't really want. It's not that he would be bad. He'd be a huge step up from Janet Yellen, but I don't know that you get the reserve, or at least you don't get support for the reserve independently from Warsh.
Okay, well, let's go Scott Bessent.
I'll just say Warsh seems like, I don't know if establishment is the right word, but he's like closer to that compared to these others. And
yeah, he's got a lot of Wall Street experience.
Yeah. And I mean, to his credit, he was on CNBC like within the last month criticizing the Fed and their whole framework for inflation. So he's like not just completely falling in line with the establishment, but in terms of what Trump's team has like signaled that they're looking for outsiders, like Warsh wouldn't really fit with that. Obviously, they have to play the game of like there's things they have to balance, and they have to pick someone that they think can get approved and all that stuff. But I would be surprised if it's Warsh. I think Bessent or more of an outsider candidate seems more likely.
Yeah,
he worked for George Soros for quite some time, which I find interesting. Given
Bessent, you're talking about?
Yeah, Bessent.
Yeah, Bessent did.
He was a notable. He's well known of being a critic, though. Like he was always kind of like an antagonist in that way. He was not aligned with Soros. He did work for. I mean, Soros was one of the top places to be, in the years ago. Yeah. He was always kind of not aligned politically, though. So.
And I think his time at the Soros fund was like. I looked it up. It was like decades ago. It's not like he's it's not like he was just recently working for Soros.
No. And Warsh is he's different, right? Like he's kind of more of a gold guy. He's certainly not like a standard treasury pick. There's stuff to like there. He's had some mildly positive comments on Bitcoin. He's definitely not like a Bitcoin hater. I think he did like what do you call it? He's had some pro CBDC stuff. That's probably the most concerning stuff. I don't think that happens under this administration, so I wouldn't really worry about that too much. But he's fine. He's a material step up from Yellen. So, I mean, as far as directionality, I mean, a huge improvement. But I think just not what we're looking for. And I think the markets have overinflated his chances based on outsider rumors.
Yep. Any other comments on the crypto cabinet or any other developments in the Trump administration as it relates to Bitcoin or crypto this past week?
I mean, I think there are some negatives from like the Bitcoiner point of view. Like they're clearly looking pretty favorably on like broader, crypto and DeFi and there was some headline this morning from Watcher Guru that said someone associated with Trump is looking to launch like a crypto payments platform or something. So, it's not like Trump has just taken on all the ideals of Michael Saylor, for example. Like there's still a pretty big gap there. And I think we'll see them announce they might, enact some policies that are like preferential to Coinbase and some like stuff that we might not be thrilled with. But overall, I think it's going to be like policies that are generally good for Bitcoin. So yeah, but we're going to have to take some, there's going to be some things that we're kind of throw up in our mouths and when we see them.
Yeah. It's that's the thing. Like you need to get really prepared right now. They're gonna do crypto stuff. Like there's gonna be all sorts of crypto stuff this year. Just get used to it. And I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like that was the last war. And it was separating Bitcoin from crypto. So many people thought they were the same thing. No one thinks they're the same thing anymore. We won that. They're going to do their thing. And I've been saying this kind of on Twitter, but like, look, it's bullish for Bitcoin that Trump is meeting with Brian Armstrong. It's bullish for Bitcoin. They're doing these crypto things. It will benefit Bitcoin. And there's no putting the cat back in the bag that Bitcoin's the same as crypto. You got to just let that happen. There's no stopping it. And it is a wind in our sail.
Brandon, I saw you trying to get in there.
Yeah, I was going to say more or less what Steven said. I agree. I think no matter what, we're going to see the floodgates open. And I think that's totally fine. I don't want to win off of regulatory moats around Bitcoin. I want to win because the free market believes Bitcoin's a superior asset. And I think that that's true. And we are winning. We're going to keep winning. And if you're looking for an example, right, floodgates open for shitcoins, clear as day. Check out the ETH BTC price. It seems to be a lot of strong gravity over there. That chart just keeps going down. And you would think the opposite would be true, right? And so I think Steven's point around the differentiation between Bitcoin and broader crypto is very clear to the market today. It pleases me that Solana's eating ETH's lunch, and then Solana 2.0 in 2 years will eat Solana's lunch, and they can all compete for whatever market that is. One comment on Saylor, though, John, you said maybe the Trump administration doesn't fall in line with Saylor, but his recent comments, he laid out his thesis for crypto securities, cryptocurrencies, fungible tokens, equities on chain, et cetera. So I think he's come to that same conclusion that the broader market will have its chance. And I think that's totally fine. And then just to tie this off, Ninja drop on the group here. I think we should consider meme of the week as a recurring theme here for this. And I posted one in the chat, the private chat, but Brady wants to pull this one up. I think this is the best meme for me, at least, this year. It's so deep, it's so dense, it's breathtakingly beautiful. Shout out like 0x Fubar, whoever you are, you have a massive Twitter following, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, this one is great.
Pull it up.
God tier.
Great. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, this is most people know this guy, LeBron James. This is LeBron James's son, Bronny, he goes by. And yeah, so LeBron had this goal. I'm going to play basketball with my son in the NBA. And of course, he made it happen. What LeBron James wants when it comes to his basketball team, he's going to get. So anyway, Bronny Jr. is ETH, James BTC. This is just great. I had to explain the sporting layer to this, but yeah. Because Bronny's not that good, at least yet anyway. He's still really young. And he's there because his dad's there. Let's put that.
That's so good. That's so good, man.
ETH exists on the coattails of BTC as well.
There was another one kind of like this that I saw that was like, both ETH and Bitcoin are $2,000 away from an all-time high. joke there is that's like almost 100% gain for ETH while it's like
Who likes this chart? Does this look good? That's ETH BTC the past couple of days. And Brandon brought it up, so I thought I'd pull it up.
Brady, there's a hockey version of that joke. Basically, the guys who I play hockey with, we had a joke. They know so much about hockey players and stats and stuff. And at one point, we were like, "Hey, who's the highest?"
Where are we at? Okay, sorry.
99.7.
Okay.
And we would say to someone to like trick them, we're like, "Who's the highest scoring brother combination in NHL history?" And you make them think, they guess a million people, and then we say it's Wayne Gretzky and his brother Brent. And it turns out that his brother Brent like never even played in the NHL. It's just that Wayne Gretzky
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We've got a couple great clips here, guys. We can dive back into some meaty stuff. We've got that CNBC clip, the 3-minute one that you wanted to play, Steven. We've also got Saylor. We can talk a little MicroStrategy.
It's a really good clip, but man,
we've also got the options
from this thing.
What's that?
We're like inches from this thing. I feel like we're
I'm watching it right here.
Okay.
It's I will pull it up for sure.
All right.
And then we can celebrate. Okay. Let's do this Saylor video.
You know, over the last 2 weeks, Andrew, we've generated $5.4 billion in BTC gains. We're making 500 million a day. I'm staring at my screen and we're selling dollar bills for $3, sometimes a million times a minute. And so it's not impossible. I mean, we may very well be the most profitable company in the United States, growing the fastest right now, because there's not many companies that are making $500 million a day doing what they're doing. If you don't like Bitcoin, you don't want any piece of it. But if you like Bitcoin, then this is a monster.
Keeps on going. What's been happening is insane this week.
Yeah.
I think it's now 3-4 times over its NAV. Not that people care about NAV. Steven, you got to tell a little story about the DM you received, because I think that was a great line.
Oh yeah.
It was like I don't give an F about the.
Yeah, so I was talking with a friend of mine who has managed funds for some of the richest people in the world. This guy, yeah, we got the price on the screen. Don't worry, guys. I was talking with this guy. He is a professional manager on very high levels for billionaires. And I've been talking to him about Bitcoin, and I've talking to him about MicroStrategy. And he really likes MicroStrategy. This is one of the more sophisticated financial, kind of individuals in the world. And he sent me a message. He's like, dude, I don't give a shit about NAV. We are not trading closed-end bond funds here. and that's right. Like, this isn't, NAV only applies to this sort of closed-end structure like Grayscale or like a bond fund, where there's just a pile of collateral and that's all it is. The thing with MicroStrategy, that's not what it is. It would be irrational for MicroStrategy to trade at NAV, because they generate returns on top of that asset through novel financial products and other things. So it's just not the right, like, take that out of your vocabulary. Now, maybe this is 3x NAV. Not that you should think of it that way. Is that too high? Is that too low? Nobody knows, right? I'm not saying that we know where it should trade at, but you're looking at a company that is valued off its future performance and activities, not a closed-end trust, and actually they're doing something pretty incredible. And so this convertible note they did is it's wild. I mean, there's huge demand, $3 billion, oversubscribed, one of the largest insurance companies in the world. And all of that's literally buying Bitcoin right now, the cash, probably going to get over 100K here in a minute. And it just, people aren't understanding what they're looking at.
And just remember the volatility on MSTR. Like yesterday it was down something like 20%.
Yeah.
So yeah, and people will have their theories about why it is and what that means for, the coming days. And people have their theories about what the multiple should be. Obviously in the long run, Bitcoin being successful means MicroStrategy will be successful, but just know what you're in for there. Bitcoin could be flat and MicroStrategy could be down 20% on a given day, or vice versa. We've seen the opposite. Bitcoin's up a few percent, MicroStrategy's up 10 to 15%. So it's just know that you're in a different trade. They are similar, but there's some big differences.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing 99.9 on Coinbase right now.
Let me pull up Coinbase on Trading View. I think this is the global average that BitBo is showing, which is the one I prefer for all-time highs. But I think most people just prefer the exchange where it happens first.
For sure. Plus, that's where the liquidity is buying right now, so it will happen there first.
Yeah, so Coinbase is at 99,725, about the same as this.
99. Yeah, we're dipping. We're dipping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people just aren't understanding. They aren't understanding what's going on with MicroStrategy, and you know, it's worth understanding.
Related comment, can we just give a shout out to Joe Kernan and Andrew Ross Sorkin for having Saylor on all the time? Kernan's obviously a Bitcoiner, just mega Chad, but Sorkin has to somehow keep his composure, even though he's just squirming in his seat, and Saylor's like, we're making a 500 million a day. Sorkin's still a salty no coiner, I'm sure. My goodness.
I mean, it's a lot of people, and understandably so, when you're just kind of take a quick look at it, are thinking this is some kind of, crazy bubble, something like FTX or what was it called? Genesis. I can't remember. What was the name of the Do Kwon's thing? Anyway,
Terra Luna.
Yeah, Terra Luna. Genuine Ponzi schemes. But after listening to Saylor talk about it and studying a bit, and I'm no finance expert, although I've learned quite a bit over the last 7 years, it's definitely not a Ponzi, because he is taking money. Like, he's not taking in new money and giving out the money he's already made previously and taking in new clients and trying to do that whole wash machine. It's not. These are financial instruments that he's selling that have a lot of demand, and he's figured out how to create a yield that is sustainable as long as he doesn't get margin called, and he seems to be doing it pretty conservatively, even though he's getting this performance. The way that he's playing out and structuring these bonds and these ATMs look like pretty conservative if you think that Bitcoin is going to continue at a reasonable ARR over the next 20 years.
I mean, they're more than conservative. They're actually brilliant. These bonds are a way for bond investors, insurance companies to get the upside of Bitcoin without the downside. And that's why you get back to this thing of it shouldn't trade at NAV. They are the only company in the world that can issue these instruments in size and at scale. And these instruments are valuable. It's like if they were the only one that could sell call options. There is real value there, not just a pile of Bitcoin that should trade at NAV.
Yeah. Okay, where do we want to go next?
I just want to say something about Saylor being on CNBC or Bloomberg, whatever it is. Anyone who's worked at a big Wall Street firm, you might know this, but if you haven't, there's TVs on most desks. Every 10 feet, there's a freaking TV. And the things that they're going to have on, it's either CNBC or it's Bloomberg, just all day long. So those, and it's on mute. It's not you have to listen to everything they're saying, but you can usually pick up your phone in front of you and get the audio from the TV. So all these TradFi firms just have CNBC or Bloomberg going all day long. If they see Saylor up there repeatedly with the headline Bitcoin, it's like planting the seed over and over again. MicroStrategy stock up 180% in 3 months, whatever it is. It's it's just something that is making them realize that this is a thing. This is part of their world. It's not like you have to tune into some other channel to get Bitcoin content. Saylor's going to CNBC and having the conversation.
So yeah, 100%. It makes a huge difference. So someone in the chat just said the S&P is up 0.03% today. And I freaked out and pulled it up because I thought it was up 0.3%. I'm like, oh man, it's diving. It was up 0.3, but it's also ironic compared to I'm like, oh my God, a difference of 27 basis points. That must be why we're correcting.
versus Bitcoin and its 10% gains
All right,
over a day.
so we sold off. We went down to 99. We've bounced off that a little bit now. We're at 99, 350, 400.
Yeah.
Takes time to breach the 100K. I think there's
I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce around 97, 98, 99 again for a while. Like, it's people, I don't understand it, but people like to sell at those big numbers. They've got it in their minds. If you ever want to sell Bitcoin, like you want to take your family on a trip or something like that, because, live your life. Not like a never sell your Bitcoin person, because, what's the point in that? But if so, you want to sell a little Bitcoin, don't do it at 100,000. Do it at like 98, 95, 98, because it's going to bounce back down and, like back and forth and back and forth. And you may never get your sell in, and you're not going to be able to catch that dip, because, I wouldn't be surprised if given this run that we're on, like, I really wouldn't be, I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we just we're in the low 90s for a while longer, maybe like 3 or 4 days until Thanksgiving, when you're going to get the family Thanksgiving pump.
Here's a question for you guys. Firstly, what do you think is better? We cross 100K on a weekday or a weekend? And then secondly, do you think there's a time of day that's like ideal for crossing 100K?
Okay, I'll go first. I would pick next Wednesday, probably like early afternoon, right? Because all the family's starting to come together. And you talk about 100K, or maybe it happens on Thanksgiving Day. That might be pretty good too. I don't know. That seems like maximum exposure for the big number in my mind. So maybe Saylor's got that in mind and is going to engineer. I think he's like selling right now, just trying to keep the price down so he can like get some better marketing for the 100K.
My answer is as soon as possible.
Yeah.
We did hit 100K on CME futures. Now that doesn't count, but it is interesting.
I don't care when. I just want it to be when traditional financial markets are closed. I just think that's the most poetic way to pump here, just to illustrate the fact that there's Bitcoin and then there's fiat land, and they are different. And
I like that.
I would love for traders, John, your former ilk, to be on the sidelines during that beautiful moment.
Hard to argue with that. I think I'm with you. The only counterpoint would be like the attention of it. Like, there would be something kind of nice about it being Monday or Tuesday morning, and then it just gets covered all day long on CNBC and Bloomberg. But yeah, there's something nice about it happening like Thanksgiving, when people are with their families, or on a weekend. It's just like, sorry, can't buy the ETF, can't trade the options. I like that too.
Give
The
thanks
option,
to Satoshi. Nice work.
They're helping us a lot.
Nice work, chat.
Yeah. I think the options have really helped us.
Here we go.
We're about to get see, why would you even put that up? I'm sorry. Like,
I think this must be Jim Cramer.
This is like I've seen this on Twitter. Like, Bitcoiners need to get a crash course in winning, man. Like, it is, you can't go out there tweeting all this stuff like, oh, it's gonna pull back, we're not gonna do it, it's gonna dump, like on every little thing. Like, you're so used to the bear market, you have forgotten what it's like to win, and you need to get into a winning mindset. You need to realize everything's changed.
This is you. This is you.
It's time to win. Like, it's not none of this like, we need to fucking pull back, we're overextended, we're not gonna do it. Like, stop putting that shit out there, man. Like, it's good times, and we're going to do great. And we've all put years and maybe decades into getting to this moment. And don't take away from that by throwing out these kind of like, first of all, it's not true. And second of all, it's needless.
Yeah.
Like, act like you've been here before, act like this was inevitable.
Just envision yourself as this absolute hero who has been winning his entire life from the day he was born. He's wielding the Bitcoin sword of holy justice. You guys, this is it. This is you got to win. We're winners.
That's us right now. We took this thing. All of us played a role in taking this thing from nothing whatsoever to like a global force, a political force. The entire arc of US politics has been bent to Bitcoin, not the other way around. This is incredible. Like, this is incredible.
Let's fucking go. I love it. And it's true. Like this, you are, as a Bitcoiner, this is hard. This is hard to hodl. It's really hard mentally. You got to do tons of research to develop conviction. You have to decide not to sell your Bitcoin every single day and to buy more Bitcoin every single day that you do it, right? And especially those guys who were early on, man, like being able to hold, like Mandrick, right? He was like 2011 or 2010 or something like that. Still hangs out on Bitcoin Twitter and is an absolute legend. Like he's very humble. He's, you know, he's a nice human being. And that's Bitcoiners. Like you can get, I think he's, you know, I'm sure that he's been happy to make some money and have some, investments for retirement and all that stuff, but he doesn't like overspend. What he's really in for is, the cause. Like really believes that Bitcoin can make the world a better place. And that's why we're here. So be proud of that. Be proud of winning. It's not like you're winning just to like make a bunch of money. You're winning because we're in this for a really, really good reason, really, really good causes. So be proud of that. Be proud of each other. We've done it together.
It's a big deal. And you don't need to cheapen that, right? Like it's like this this foreboding joy, this like being hesitant in the face of like the outcome you've been working towards finally happening. Like, you can just embrace. I think people are afraid of getting disappointed. I think they think if they actually let themselves believe like this is it, it's going to happen. Like we've made it here. It's like it's the fear of disappointment, but like this is it, man. Like we're watching something historic happen.
Hey, everybody listening, you probably own more Bitcoin than the CEO of Charles Schwab. There's a very good chance that you own more than that guy. Not sure if you guys have seen this. You probably did. But and this is one that like give this guy a little bit of credit because he was not, being a hater. He said, "I have not bought crypto and now I feel silly," in a conversation with someone. So, that's the CEO of one of the largest brokerage trading platforms in the world. And he's now feeling silly that he owns no Bitcoin. So yeah, you're a step ahead of that guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of corporates, in real time, I'm getting messages in my Telegram group for the Minneapolis Bitcoin meetup. If you're in the Twin Cities, message me. I'll get you in the meetup group. It's a quick plug. But what I'm getting is screenshots from Medtronic's town hall. Okay, it's a publicly traded health tech med device company in Minneapolis here. And you can only guess what the questions are on the town hall. When Bitcoin on our balance sheet? When Bitcoin in our 401k? When Bitcoin to our balance sheet to enable a more robust capital preservation strategy? So there are Bitcoiners behind enemy lines. And they're delivering Satoshi's word right up to the top. And you love to see it.
We're making another run in it. 99,730.
Let's pull this chart up.
I'll give one more anecdote as Brady pulls it up, and there it is. We're in the 99.7s. I have a buddy who has become friends with someone who heads up an RIA, and RIAs could be all different sizes, right? There's massive ones, there's tiny ones. This guy's pretty big. They've managed something like $10 billion. And he was texting with him. My buddy was texting with him. And the guy basically said, yeah, I need to look into Bitcoin a little bit more. And I think the exact words he used was, I need to get my arms around this thing before it gets further away from me. Because he's one of these RIAs that his clients have virtually no exposure. Maybe he has some of these where it's like, oh, you did it in this account, you did it yourself. He's not allocating his clients' money to Bitcoin proactively. He hasn't gotten that far, but based on what he said, before it gets further away from me, that's the view he's taking. And this guy manages $10 billion worth for his clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing There's a guy in the chat. I won't call him out by name because I'm not trying to dunk, but he's saying it's just all about money. What are you guys kidding? Saying it's for a good cause.
Yeah.
And that's not right. That is not right. If you spend the time with Bitcoin, you need to realize that this is something that has systemic impacts, and those systemic impacts change outcomes, right? There are many ways to think of it. People obviously talk about people having the freedom to transact in other parts of the world. Even in the US, if you can improve economic efficiency by 1%, do you know how much human suffering that averts? The number one driver of the reduction in human suffering globally has been technological and economic expansion. And if you can reduce the distorting effect that fiat economics has on net economic productivity, even 1%, you have impacted human well-being globally in a tremendously material way. So it's not all about money. Obviously, many people are in Bitcoin to make money, and that's fine. But there is a real tangible benefit to this technology and this asset.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, no doubt. I responded to somebody on Twitter, I think it was yesterday, Godzilla Trader, said, I have yet to hear a single convincing explanation for what use case Bitcoin has. Not one ever, right? First of all, it's a fixed supply of money. It's deflationary over time. So it'll cure the ravages, the absolute ravages of inflation around the world, start to stem those and prevent them from happening again. It makes it much, much harder for a government to run a forever war. Afghanistan would not have run for 20 years if the government had to increase taxes and sell bonds to fund it. Never would have happened. Many such examples, right? It enables people to save in a money that cannot be debased. Again, it's in solving the problem of inflation. It demonetizes, this is another good example, and then I'll stop, but it demonetizes the real estate premium, store value premium. So right now, a bunch of rich people will go and they're trying to find some asset that's scarcer than the dollars that are just being printed by the trillions, right? Because that's inflating away, which is a silent tax on the bottom 90% of wealth holders in the United States. And they buy these houses all up and down the coasts, big, beautiful houses, 13, 14, 15 of them, they might rent them or something like that. But that holds their value, the value of their money over time, way better than a dollar does. So all these houses become, and this happens all over the country, and, urban housing, with apartments and condos and things like that, they buy up these buildings and the real estate value goes up, and it makes it harder for us to buy houses. So this is a rigged system. All of the money, when that fiat gets printed, goes to, or vast majority will go to the top 1%. Their wealth increases because they use that free money basically to buy assets that actually hold value over time and increase in value over time. Well, now we all have access to an asset like that. It levels the playing field. Bitcoin is absolutely a cause, maybe the greatest cause, and that's why I'm here working on it, in the world right now, because it's such a fundamental part of civilization, of our society. If you have poisoned money, inflationary money, it poisons the entire society. The money is endemic. So yes, I mean, oh my God, like how can you think it's not? Do some more reading. Check out Alex Gladstein to start.
And it goes further too, in a very specific way, that because the money, like you're saying, because the money itself cannot be held, you have to then take that money and invest in assets. Here's the deal. Does your average construction worker do that with their savings? Does the average person buy assets? Or do they hold whatever money they make in cash? They don't invest. It's this thing where under a fiat system, every dentist, every construction worker needs to moonlight as a hedge fund manager because the money doesn't hold value. And even if all you had was an option in your bank account that you could hold it in dollars or Bitcoin, just a simple monetary alternative, you actually create the ability for a large number of people to save that they wouldn't have. And so it is tangible. And the last thing on this topic is in a non-inflationary system, when you go to the grocery store and you see a banana, when that price goes up or that price goes down, that economic good, the fluctuation in that price is backed by tangible realities. Maybe some banana farms burnt down in Colombia and the price went up, or maybe we got better at shipping bananas and the price came down, right? But that price is an end data point. It's a signal that reflects the fundamental constellation of forces that went into its production. In a fiat system, you don't know why that price changed. It could have changed because of fundamental economic realities, or it could have changed because of money printing. And at a massive scale, this reduces the information contained in capital and economic decisions by allocators. If you can't discern what the market is responding to in the price of goods and services, you're going to make incrementally less efficient decisions. Like I said, even if this is 3% or 5%, that's world changing. That changes everything.
Absolutely.
You guys are totally nailing it. Love everything you said. You guys are talking more like conceptually, like, hey, these are the huge changes that sound, I would say, sound money and brings about in society. And you guys nailed it. If anyone listening out there wants to see like concrete examples, like these people used Bitcoin and here was the benefit. Jan Pritzker, CTO of Swan, and wrote the book Inventing Bitcoin. He's SKWP on Twitter. Go to his Twitter and search the word debunk, and you'll find a tweet where he says, quote, Bitcoin has no use except for speculation by tech bros, and it's a debunk thread. And he just posts example after example of these people used Bitcoin and they got these, tangible benefits from it. He's been adding to it since 2020.
December.
So yeah, check that out. And he has a Gladstein video in there from this year. There's Gladstein speaking at a conference for like 45 minutes or something. And Gladstein's talk was also incredible. So, I mean, this is like, just directly refutes anyone who says that, oh, this is just a token that goes up in price. It's like, no, very much no.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah, one last comment here. We're talking about, hey, Steven's comments like, hey, you got to be a part-time investor after your construction worker job and buy the S&P just to preserve purchasing power. That's U.S. capital markets, which I saw a stat which was around like 40% maybe of global capital markets. John, you may know. And so what, 400 million people have access to almost half the capital markets? What are the other 7 point whatever billion people buy? Well, if you're in a developing country, you buy bricks as your store of value. What if we can give every single person in the world a store of value asset in their pocket? That's pretty powerful.
Rough numbers. This is a little bit dated, but I don't think it would have changed that much. The U.S. Stock market capitalization was something like 60% of global stock market capitalization. Despite the fact that the U.S. GDP is only like 25% of global GDP. And then population-wise, I think you guys might fact check me, or the U.S. is like 3 to 4% of global population, something like that. So very unbalanced there. And yeah, telling someone that lives in a developing country, oh, just buy QQQ, it's like they can't do that. That's not a possibility.
Let's see. Hold up. Doing some math. All right. Mara, who we talked about at the beginning of this, just announced that they have acquired so far 5,771 Bitcoin. So they've deployed $550 million of their $1 billion convertible note. They did say so far, so I'm assuming there's more coming with Mara. They may use some of that for corporate purposes, but I think they're still buying with that. And obviously Saylor is also in the market with his $3 billion.
Didn't Saylor say something about the 100K party? And I thought he said it was like going to be around New Year's. So didn't he say something like that?
He said New Year's Eve. He said he's looking at New Year's Eve.
He's planning on.
Might be Thanksgiving Eve. Gotta update your timing there.
I don't think he's trying to nail it on the exact day that it breaks 100K. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's more like 5 weeks. Got 5 weeks to cross 100K to make otherwise the party's just too early, and you can't do that. thing. That's
We're
just
crossing it. We're crossing it, guys. It's not going to take 3 weeks.
Okay, we do still. It's at an hour. I don't think we quite got it over the line. We got to like 99.8.
So close, man.
I
would have loved the artifact. You know what I mean? Or the recording of the moment it happened.
Yeah, it would have been really nice. Well, we're aiming to do a show next Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So we'll head into the virtual studio and be here to hang with you guys. Hopefully we'll be at 100K by then. And there will be plenty more to talk about. We'll talk about what we're thankful for. Obviously Satoshi will be a unanimous choice. But we'll think up some other things that we've found to be thankful for over our 7-8 plus years in this space. And maybe we'll have fun. We'll let's pull up some of our best performing tweets and see what they are. Do some memes, have a little fun. So we'll see you all next Friday for that. Want to thank Mara for supporting the show and respect and cheers on the acquisition of 5,700 Bitcoin. That's amazing. They are the largest public Bitcoin miner. Thanks to them again for supporting the show. And they help make the Bitcoin network the most secure and decentralized monetary system in the world has ever known. So thanks to them. Gentlemen, any final words before we head out?
I have a question for Steven. Steven, how many calls from OTC desks just begging for Bitcoin did you get in this past hour?
They're so hungry for coins, John. They're running out of coins. They're really desperate. They're just saying, oh, we have no more coins. Will you please send us your coins?
One guy even knocked on Steven's door. They sent him to his house physically and said, sir, do you have any Bitcoin here?
I've got a 2-story home, John, and I was up on the second floor, and there's a dude hanging in front of my window just trying to get me, please give some liquidity to the OTC.
He's like, I'll walk 20,000 steps with you today if I can get some liquidity.
They're desperate, man. They're desperate. This is what a fixed supply asset does to guys.
How many steps did you get yesterday?
Like 30K.
Damn, man. I got 22.
It's actually been because we're in the bull market, and so I'm on so many calls all day with clients, and it's just I just pace.
Yeah. So you get a lot of it indoors. You're just walking around or in your backyard.
Outdoors, indoors, both. But it's honestly the busier I am at work, actually, the more steps I get. Which I'm blessed in the exact nature of my work. It's calls, so that's why that happens. But it literally, I've measured it, and it's when it gets really busy around here and there's tons of clients calling, that is my highest step counts.
Do you have a worn trail in your backyard from walking?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. Yeah. There's a few. There's a circle around my mango tree. I have this big mango tree in the backyard, and there's a literal circle around it.
That's awesome. Anything from you, Brandon, before we jump?
Yeah, just make sure when you get together with your family on this Thanksgiving that you very kindly open up their kitchen cupboards and find all their seed oils and put that directly in the trash. And I recommend bringing some beef tallow in a nice glass jar and placing it there as a replacement. And if you don't have tallow, proper olive oil will do the trick. And step by step, we will together make America healthy again.
I do not have seed oils in my house, although we still consume seed oils when you go out and etc. Really. But eventually, there's gluten-free is available pretty widely now. Maybe we'll get a seed oil-free. I don't know, man. That's a hard one.
It's coming. It's coming. There's a huge thing there.
It's a hard one for restaurants.
Very hard. There's some
you don't need to be perfect. Just cook your own food 80-90% of the time and splash out when you go out. You don't need to be a weirdo.
Just reduce as much as you can.
But if you eat out too much, that's a problem.
What I'm going to have that you guys don't have is Florida is removing all the fluoride from the water. The first state to do it. They're not even waiting for RFK.
Nice.
So another Florida win. We're racking them up.
Dang, Florida's on fire.
There's a Florida fluoride joke and meme somewhere.
Florida fluoride, it's in there somewhere. Yeah, we'll have to think about that one.
I opened up Blue Sky just to get a little taste of it the other day, and about 25% of the messages there were discussing strategies on how to ensure you can continue fluoridating your water.
Yeah.
So when they take it away from from the main water supply. You got to figure out how to get it in all, right when it comes into your house.
They're stockpiling fluoride. Like, my God.
Like I have a water filter that has fluoride, part to it. It removes fluoride. So I think, there's going to be people who have the opposite. It like puts fluoride back into the water.
Tur Demeester had a hilarious take on this. He goes, X is Bitcoin, blue sky is Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, gents. We will see you here next Friday, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everybody watching right now has a wonderful Thanksgiving. This is our record high for concurrent live viewers. So thanks for coming to join us. We're 4,500 people.
Record high for Bitcoin too.
Record high for Bitcoin. Sitting down at lower 99 right now, but still there. It's going to take a little bit longer to punch through that wall, but we will get there. And then it's just a blue sky, right, Brandon? After that. All right. You can catch this show live on YouTube, also on Twitter, X.
X marks the spot. They need to do that. That's so good. X marks the spot.
It does. And then swansignalpodcast.com to get the audio podcast, or just search Swan Signal in your podcast app. So thanks again for joining us. We do this every Friday, just hanging out with the boys, talking Bitcoin. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to close out with a fun Swan ad. Here it is.
Future, here I come. Come on, Max. There's no turning back now. Okay, do I have everything I need? Duct tape? Check. Swiss Army knife? Check. Chapstick? Check. Money? Money! Oh no! What kind of money do they even use in the future?
Hello there.
What? Who are you?
Traveling to the future, are we?
Yes?
Excellent idea. The future is bright indeed. You are, however, going to need some money.
Look, I don't know who you are, but I gotta get moving. Security will be here in just a few minutes.
Splendid. A few minutes is just about all you need to get some Bitcoin with the Swan app.
Huh, Bitcoin. Why didn't I think of that? Plus, imagine how much it'll be worth in the future. And done. Okay, time to go. Thanks, Swan.
My pleasure. Buy Bitcoin with the Swan app before traveling to your future.